Hey there, my friend. If you've ever wanted to make an Easter explosion box, this tutorial is for you. I'm Abby from Abbi Kirsten Collections, and I'm going to be teaching you how to make this really cute bunny explosion box today with your cutting machine. The supplies you're going to need for this project is some medium weight cardstock. I like to use 65-pound weight. You'll also want to have a cutting machine of some sort. I'm going to be using my Cricut machine. You'll need to have a cutting mat. I also like to use a brayer tool to press my material to the mat. And then you'll need to have a scoring stylus or scoring wheel if your machine supports that. Next, you'll need to have some sort of adhesive. I like to use the Barely Art craft glue. That's my favorite for paper craft projects. And then you'll need some sort of small treat, candy, or toy to place onto the inside of your explosion box. All right, my friends, so as far as the Design Space setup goes, you can find these files to download linked below this video. And once you have downloaded them to your computer or device, you're going to bring them in via the upload button in Design Space. Now, if you're using a different type of cutting software, then of course you'll follow suit for your particular cutting software. So there's only a couple things you need to know when it comes to prepping this file before we cut it out. First, I want you to be aware of black lines that you will see that look like this on top of this lavender box lid we have here. You're going to see lines that look like this, and they're solid lines, but we need to change them to the score operation. So when you import a file into Design Space, even if I place score lines on them, they're not going to appear as score lines until we tell Design Space that we want it to be a score line. So what that means is we need to make sure we select anywhere in the file that there's a black line and change it to a score operation. So the way I like to do this is I'll click on one of them, and then I'll head over to my layers panel here to my right, and I'll just hold my shift key down and I'll select each of these black lines for this particular object on my screen. And I'm going to go up to operation and change it to score. Once I've changed it to score with those lines still selected, I'm going to hold my shift key and I'm going to click on the base of the box, which is what we want to attach those score lines to. If we do not attach our score lines, then they're not going to stay placed where we want them to at the time I'm making this video. So with all 5 of those objects selected here in my layers panel, I'm going to click the attach function at the bottom, and now our score lines are in place. You can see here that I've done that as well with our little pockets, and also the base of our box, and the little mini basket that's there as well. We'll have score lines that you'll want to change that operation and attach those as well. The only other thing you need to be aware of with this project is your scale. So please keep in mind that if you wish to scale this larger or smaller, that you always scale as a group, meaning we don't want to scale each item individually. We want to click and drag over everything, and we want to scale it as a group, larger or smaller, so that we retain those proper proportions and we don't disrupt the proportions of each item relative to the other. I don't recommend going too small on this box. Larger is usually better for these explosion boxes, especially those that have details to them. So if you want to scale, click on this piece here, which is 11.29 in my case. But if you wanted to go a little smaller, you would scale everything down as a group. You'd click off and then see where it's at, and then continue from there for larger or smaller, and so forth. Once you have that prepped and ready to go, just make sure you save your project, because we don't want to have to do this prep again in the future. Once we're happy with our scale, we've got our score line set, we just want to save it so there's no extra work that has to be done in the future. All right, at this point, we can go ahead and head over to the cut screen. I'll be using my Maker 3 in this project here, but you can use any of the Cricut models or other cutting machines that are compatible size-wise and with SVG cut files. So I will be cutting on a mat, and we have all of our layers here. We'll be loading our white paper, our peach paper, brown, yellow, blue, etc. And we'll get all of these layers cut out here, and then we'll start assembling our project. I will be using the medium cardstock setting because that is what is most compatible with the material of cardstock I will be using for my particular craft. Okay, so I have all of my pieces cut out. I'm going to start first by folding along those score lines to get everything creased really well. So I'll do that with my little basket piece, and I'll do that with the base piece and my lid and all of those things there. I'm going to then grab my glue, and I'm going to glue all of those tabs together. I'm going to start with the basket here. So you'll see the tabs on 2 of the sides, and we'll glue those and just hold it for a moment until that glue sets up. And I'll be placing the little handle in. You'll see that there is sort of a little tab that sticks out of the handle, and you can thread it from the outside in and then add a little glue to tack it and hold it into place. I'm going to set that aside for now, and I'm going to start with the main part of the box, And I'm going to grab my 4 yellow pieces here, and I'm going to add those on. And those go on the inside of the box so that we have sort of a little peekaboo effect with our bunny and our egg when we look at it from the outside. So I'll just be placing each one of those on with some glue on all 4 sides of the box. And then you can also put one in the center. And I also like the way this kind of frames up the box with a pretty blue edge and then the yellow effect. Next, I'm going to add my pockets. So I'm going to fold along those score lines there and apply a little bit of glue, and I'll be sticking these pockets on 2 of the sides of my box. If you would like to cut more of these pockets and add them on all 4 sides, you could absolutely do that as well. That's completely up to your preference. These are great for placing in little notes or pictures or any other item that can fit comfortably within a thin pocket like this. There are also some little white flowers that go on top of them to add a fun, cute little layer and some contrast. And then you'll see the little pocket notes that are included. You can use these to write a message on, have your Cricut write a message on it, or you can slip something else in altogether. I'm going to go ahead and glue in my basket to the center of my box and get that pressed in there. Just make sure you're careful with your alignment there, that the box closes comfortably. I'm going to add these little white daisies and their centers to each side of the basket's handle. It's just an added little touch. You can always cut out extras of these if you would like to add more of them somewhere else in the design of the box. And then I will be folding my lid together. So going to crease along those score lines and those little tabs. I'm going to add some glue, and then we'll just hold that in place until the glue grabs. And there'll be 4 tabs for the entire top of the box. And it has a nice cute little scalloped edge to it, which is super fun. I'm going to set my box lid aside and I'm going to assemble my bunny ears. So you're going to see there's a couple layers here for the pink part of our ears. And I'm just going to layer those together with some glue and then place them down onto one side of one of the white ear pieces. And then I'm going to take the other white ear piece and I'm going to glue it back to back to the one with the pink ear pieces on it. And the purpose of this is so that we can fold down at the bottom and create sort of a little tab situation that's going to allow us to glue it into the top slot of the box. There's also a little bow for your bunny ears. You don't have to use this, but I think it's a fun touch. I'm just going to curl those bow edges and then glue the 2 tails towards the center so that it creates that fun little 3D bow effect. There's also a small center piece that you can add for the bow as well. You'll see in the file. So we'll tack that on with some glue. And then I'm going to tack the entire bow onto the bottom part of the bunny ears. So I'm going to add my bunny ears now, and I'm going to thread the bunny ears through that slot in the top of the box. And when we flip it over, we'll be able to fold down those 2 bunny ear halves so that when we tack it with glue, those bunny ears stand straight up. So add a little glue on both sides and just tack it to hold it in place until that glue grabs. You can also cut out an extra square piece to put on the inside top of the box. That way you don't see that little bunny ear assembly part and it looks nice and smooth, and it can be another place for a bit of vibrant color to come through. So I'm going to add that. And here's what the top of my box looks like. Next, I'm going to place my treats and candy into the little basket. You could add some little like Easter grass too if you wanted. And I'm going to fold up the sides of the boxes here. I'm going to hold at least 3 of the 4 sides to the best of my ability and then work that lid on. So I'm going to work that lid on and just be gentle and careful with this. It does have a scalloped edge, so it might catch on one of the corners initially. Just go slow and wiggle it down and you'll see that it sits comfortably on top. And here is how our bunny box turned out. How cute is this? Super fast to make, a lovely little Easter treat to give. And I just think these are adorable, and you can make them in pastel colors and really personalize them to make them your own. So what do you think of this project? There is more information for the templates and the supply list and everything you need below, as well as more spring crafts, more spring explosion boxes, Easter projects, and many other designs that I hope you will enjoy. And I would love to know, have you ever made an explosion box before of any kind? Have you made a paper box before with your cutting machine? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video, my friend. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm Abby, your friend in the pursuit of craftiness. Bye for now.